Hello and welcome to the next video lecture titled All About Search Campaigns. I'm Sergio, and in this lecture we're going to go over how to create a search campaign and learn everything that there is to need to know about search campaigns. So if you probably have recognized, you'll notice that I'm on the Google AdWords interface, pretty much the campaigns dashboard / homepage when you log into an account. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with creating a search campaign. A couple of things you'll probably want to get handy are your Excel spreadsheets with your keyword research, so that you can utilize that while building out your campaign, and the ad groups so that you can have the keywords for your ad groups ready, as I explained how you should have done in the lecture titled Organizing Your Data in Excel Like a Pro, where you have a nice spreadsheet, maybe with a pivot table or some organized tabs that kind of go over what each campaign is going to have in terms of ad groups and keywords. Here I've got a competitor report where we have some of the money keywords, so to speak, that are already grouped up into groups of similar keywords that will apply to a certain ad group theme. So we'll go ahead and get started since I have this out by clicking on the big red button here that says plus campaign. Google makes it very easy for you to set campaigns up by making this big red button show up here. And sorry, I just wanted to clear out that notification up there. But right here where I'm hovering over is the add a campaign button. You're going to want to use the search network only option. And that will allow you to strictly control your campaign on the search network, not including the display network, which you can do separately and individually to have better control of your campaign performance. So let's go ahead and click that. And one thing you're going to want to do is quickly change this from standard to all features. Standard is limited, does not give you all the features and options that you are going to want to take advantage of. Go ahead and name the campaign afterwards. We can call this test campaign. And we'll say, since we've been using the same example several times with the wheelchair and scooter client, we're going to go ahead and say this one's going to be for mobility scooters, which are for people with disabilities that want to get around and have mobility similar to electric wheelchairs. And this is something that the client specializes in selling. So we'll make a campaign tailored to these types of products, which essentially is one product category. And what we're going to do is go down here, and since you're probably going to be building a new account here, we won't choose to include any or load any settings from existing campaigns. But if you wanted to save time in the future, it's good to know that this is here. You can kind of preload the location targeting settings, the scheduling settings, the budget settings from other campaigns if you want to just duplicate campaigns or duplicate those settings rather. I usually will recommend unchecking this box here unless you're dealing with a situation where your performance is really good but you just want to get more traffic. Then I might recommend coming back later and checking that. But in the beginning, I think it's wise to just stick with Google, which is the most popular search engine out there, rather than letting your ads show on Google partner websites that use the Google search engine within their site. The next thing that you're going to see are the location settings here, or at least the next thing that you can actually act on. So you can choose to target, certain areas. You can put a location here, and it'll automatically default to the let me choose. For example, San Francisco. You can add it or exclude it. You can, target certain places, exclude certain places, and then what's even better is you can use the advanced search button to kind of play with the different options here. So if we were to type in Miami and search for it here, you'll see it kind of shows up here, and then you can do certain things by using these options by, for example, using radius targeting. So if you search again, it adds a 20-mile radius bubble around it. So that basically means your ads will show to anybody who's in a location around the inside of this circle here, this 20-mile radius circle, and that's based off of IP address. So You can use the radius targeting, location groups if you'd like, and explore the different groups that they have. Select household income tier, things like that. There is a bulk locations upload here that you can use. Paste or type one location per line up to 1,000 locations at a time. If you have a spreadsheet that you want to work with, because you know that historically certain cities have performed better than others, as I explained, that's something that you definitely want to look into. So if you have that list of cities, you can copy and paste them all here. And those are the options that you can use with the let me choose option. So I'm just going to go ahead and for this example, just leave it to United States. And then I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. The language options, you want to obviously make sure it's English if you're only dealing with English speaking visitors, or maybe Spanish if you live in an area where that's a popular language. And the bid strategies, for now, what you're going to want to do is put 0.01, because I want to get into in the future how to set up bid strategies that then you can start using here and assign that bid strategy to your campaign settings after we create this. For now, this will ensure that you don't spend any money, and basically your ads won't show up because there's no keyword that's only a penny. So the individual budget, you can kind of start small is my recommendation. Depending on what your cost per click is, generally, you want to get a good number of clicks from each campaign. So if it's, $10 per click and you want to get, a good solid 20 or 30 clicks per day, you got to do the math and kind of make the best judgment call here. It's really up to what your budget is and how much you're willing to really, spend before you can start tweaking the campaign and making it perform better. So keep in mind that, it's not going to perform 100% the way you want it to with, 1,000% ROI every time. Sometimes it's a very competitive landscape, and you have to really spend a little bit of money to understand what keywords work, what keywords do not work, and make adjustments as you go. So I recommend starting small, keeping things conservative. What I will do is just put $10 here as an example. And if you, in the next few lectures to come, we'll go over how to use a budget from the shared library as well as creating bid strategies. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that part here and just leave the individual budget. Ad extensions, you definitely want to use. If you have a location, you're local, you want your ad to show your location in your Google Maps listing, you'll want to check that and then click the Add Now button. To go ahead and add any of the locations that are associated with your Google login. So you'll have to have a Google Maps location set up. I've included a link in the written lecture that will take you to the Google support page where it'll show you how to set that up. It's fairly straightforward. You just need to enter your business information in the Google setup page for the Google Maps listings, and then they will mail you a postcard with a verification pin to approve the listing on Google Maps. So I recommend taking advantage of that. Let me see if I can click here. And if something shows up with this specific Google account as a listing, it does. So you see here, if you have the Maps location already set up, you can actually choose one of these and it'll show up. I'm not going to do that here because this is just an example, but that is how you would set up a location extension. Site links are basically links to other pages on your website aside from the destination URL that your ads are using. So you can essentially have little links that say, give the viewer of your ad the option to not just click directly on the title link, which goes to the landing page, but instead, offer other popular pages of your sites in the form of links on your ad. I'll show you an example here. Just like you saw in the written lecture, I'm going to carry this over here. So this Walter's Bakery for Dogs has a few links to the hours, probably about us page, the specials page, the special diets page, and the biscuits page. This is really the, Walter's Bakery for Dogs is probably going to the home page of their site. Here's an example of a location extension on an ad for this ice cream parlor, showing the location. And if you click that, it takes you to the Google Maps listing page. So that is how you would, include a site link, and then you have to, I already have some set up here, which you can click and add them to the selected list, or you can click on add new site link, click the link text, for example, hours, and then put your website's page that shows your hours of operation here. And that's really all you have to do. Just hit save after that, and that will be one new add site link, and then you can add up to 4. So I would add 4. Here I've set up handicap lifts, wheelchair ramps, mobility accessories, and scooter giveaway raffle, which links to the most appropriate page on my client's website. So that's how you would set up the site link extension. Call extensions, you will have to just basically go through the process of using one of Google's forwarding numbers. You can basically put the phone number that it's going to forward to, and that'll be obviously the sales line of the company, or to the front desk receptionist or whoever's going to answer these calls, and choose to either work with a forwarding number or your own phone number if you don't want to show one of Google's forwarding number. But you won't be able to really use conversion tracking for phone calls using this method unless you have a third-party software that's already got Google Analytics integration tracking events, like I mentioned in my previous lectures. So go ahead and hit save when you're done there, and that is how you would get this to show up here. Again, if you drag it over to the right, that indicates that it's going to be used for this campaign. I'm not going to do that, though, so this is just an example. For apps, I'm not really going to get into showing apps, but it's fairly straightforward. If you want to add your app to a link to download your app on your ads. Reviews and callouts are a little tricky in that you really have to follow the guidelines. It does tell you what the requirements are. You basically have to reference a reputable site and give a little paraphrase of what the review is. So you can choose the exact quote if it's short enough, because you only have 67 characters, or you can use a paraphrase quote of what the review states and what the source is, whether it's Yellow Pages, Yelp, and then the source URL, and hit save. Pretty straightforward. As you can see, there's a common, setup for each one of these extensions. I'm not going to go over callouts or structured snippets because they're really more for advanced campaigns. For now, if you work with these site links or these extensions that I've mentioned, you should get some great performance. The scheduling options are pretty straightforward. I don't change the start date, and I always leave the end date as none, but work with the drop downs here so that you can show ads only at the times that make sense, hopefully when someone's actually there to take the phone calls and handle inquiries or customer service calls. And that's really all you need to worry about for now. We can go ahead and hit save and continue. Oh, I think it's not letting me here. Nope, it is. And now it's time to take a break. We're going to go ahead and stop this video so that it's not too overwhelming. We'll go ahead and continue on in the next video lecture for the video recap all about search campaigns that will explain how to create your first ad group and many other things along the way as we start building out this account.